Hey guys, how you doing? It's Tuesday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. That's where I'm at. I don't know where you are, but I appreciate you joining. I just noticed that there's three moderators here already, so thanks Taryn, Tamra, and Effie. I appreciate you. Always do. Hope you're all doing good. Hope everybody that's joining us here is doing good. I hope you're all right, man. I'm hoping you're keeping your heads together and not totally losing the plot. You know, there's a lot of people freaking out. There's a lot of footage coming out this week of people in America fighting in different stores over items. And for whatever reason, it seems to be toilet paper is the culprit most of the time. Um, yeah, there's multiple stories about people fighting over toilet paper. I've noticed. I don't even know if I added any in this week, but like last week, I said we were going to try to avoid the crown virus stuff because there's so much of it, right? The news. Turned out I had quite a bit of that stuff, those stories last week. I assure you, I really tried to avoid that this week. There's a lot more paranormal stuff this week than we've had in quite a while. I did catch a lot of that stuff this week. So a lot of cool weirdo videos, woo videos, you know, some of the stranger stuff we'll check out. And much more. You know, it's just everything I've collected. I finally was able to put up my new video today, so I hope you guys saw it. If not, it's up, it's fresh. Get them while they're hot. Speaking of the crown virus situation, I am going to make a short video tomorrow and just show you guys something that, to me, the way I look at things, and I already knew this. I put this in my last video about the subject, but yeah, this is obviously created, and this is a part of the plan of the so-called elite, the hidden controllers, the Luciferians that run the show or try to, and have been for a very long time. Yeah, it's just, to me, it's beyond, like, there's no doubt. This is what I'm going to show you, just confirms that. I don't even want to say much more. It's a short video, but I've got quite a bit to show you. It's beyond a coincidence what I'm going to show you. And it's very interesting. It's a subject that we've been talking about here on the show and in my videos for a couple of years as well. So that's just a teaser. I'll put that up tomorrow. I'm also going to schedule a couple of new shows coming up within the next week or so. And that's going to be one, I'd like to do that INFP and personalities show. Another one just to hang out so we can all kind of talk. So I'll probably be doing that one this week. And then I've got couple other videos. There's another bigger one I'm working on that it's really interesting. It's another one of these subjects I've talked about for a long time. It's St. John's Pillars. There's the apocalypse, the end of the world is on St. John's Pillars in New York City. It even shows New York City being destroyed by a tidal wave. And, you know, we've covered that subject around here a lot too. A lot of people have had dreams, visions of this. It's been programmed into a lot of our media, movies, and TV shows. We've seen that. Even Obama, before he left office, said he's more concerned about someone dropping a nuke near New York City or off the coast of New York City. You know, so this kind of thing has been kind of programmed out there already. So that'll be something interesting to watch for. But I found out a lot of interesting things about St. John's Cathedral, and it connects with all the end times predictions on the actual pillars. So that's another video I'm working on. And on that note, also just a big shout out to the Patreon and PayPal friends out there. It's because of you guys I'm able to continue doing what I do. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Also, merchandise, guys, I'm still working on. It's just it's not that I'm slow. I'm just methodical about things, and I go real deep and I analyze, and I just want to make sure I put out, you know, what's right, you know, the best thing. And I don't know. Anyway, I'm working on it. So enough about me. I'm rambling. Let's go ahead and get started with the show. I do have a sponsor. I don't need to show anything on screen at this time, but my sponsor this month is My Patriot Supply, and they're running a special on prepping food items. You can get 2 weeks or you can get 4 weeks. And the 2 weeks, I think, is under $100. I think it's like $87. And then the 4 weeks is like $190 something, I think. So anyway, you can check that out. There's a link below. Good company, reliable, really good preps out there. And if you've been looking into prepping, which, I suggest everybody has a little something, but if you've been looking into it, check it out. They're running a good special for my channel, which is nice. So check it out if you're interested. Okay, guess what? Here's the first story. I wish I'd seen this story earlier, because this falls right in with the video I just made today. Would have been a perfect fit just for the symbolism alone. Topless women protest climate rape in London on International Women's Day. But of course, look at this symbolism. They have the as above, so below, right? Just like Extinction Rebellion has the same thing. It's only reversed. It's the pyramids meeting at the apex in that case. But it's all the same idea, right? Overall, like I said, I talked about that in depth in the video. So here you have it. Members of the climate change alarmist group Extinction Rebellion XR took off their shirts on Waterloo Bridge, blocking traffic in a protest against the supposedly disparate impact that climate change has on women. The protesters painted slogans on their chests such as climate rape and climate murder. A former teacher who took part in the protest, Sarah Mintram, explained the rationale behind the topless protest, saying it's mainly women in poorer countries in the global south that are experiencing the increase in violence, but this will be the reality for all women if the climate and ecological crisis continues to go unaddressed. And then why aren't those women are protesting? I don't know. And like I pointed out in the video as well, Extinction Rebellion is a upper to middle class death cult, basically. And like most of these people are well off. They're doing okay. The former teacher took part in the protest. We got that. It says, we are here to raise the alarm about what is happening to our sisters around the world and to tell women in the UK the climate and ecological emergency is your issue. It will affect you as a woman if we do not persuade our government to take urgent action starting now. Right, just like all these lies we've seen over the last 50 years. 12 more years till the end of the world, right? And then 12 years comes. It's another 10 years, guys. I promise you this time. This is 10 more years. We're going to need money, so give us some money for this climate change, global warming thing, and 10 years comes. 20 years, guys. I promise this time. It's be 20 years. We got it. More money. We need some more money. There it is. A bunch of nitwits. I see this. It's just a bunch of brainwashed nitwits. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying. Brainwashed knuckleheads. Doing nothing but what? Feeding their own egos? Feeling like they're making a difference? I don't know. It's like its own kind of crazy little religion. It really is. This Corey Feldman fiasco, have you heard about this? Corey Feldman documentary revives accusation that Charlie Sheen did dirty to Corey Haim. So last night, it was supposed to come on, right? And you had to pay to watch it. And I didn't pay to watch it. I was trying to find it maybe pirated somewhere else. I don't know. Trying to find a torrent maybe somewhere, but I couldn't really find anything. But then today, someone on YouTube, I found it in a forum, had left a link, but someone on YouTube recorded it. I guess they paid for it and they recorded it on their computer and they were playing it on YouTube. I was like, oh, nice, as a live stream. So I went and watched some of it. And, to me, it's, and I guess he was asking for what, $10 million to do this, or $2 million, or I know it was millions. Okay. And you watch it, and I mean, it's a bunch of stuff we've already seen. It's pretty much all stuff we've already seen. Old footage, collected from movies already made about this, documentaries, TV show. They had the two Corys TV show. I mean, there wasn't a lot of work, I felt like, that really went into this. It was just kind of stringing things along, long periods of him just talking, Corey Feldman just kind of interviewing him talking about stuff. He dropped names of a couple managers that no one's really heard of, I guess. I mean, still, it doesn't make it, it's a good thing he's getting that out there, of course. But then it's just the whole way it all was set up. I don't know. You know, they really needed the money to show it or something. I don't know, but it just didn't. I didn't see a lot of money in this. And then revealing the Sheen thing wasn't really a big revelation. I remember they did a movie, and it was corny. I think it was a Lifetime movie. Had to be over 10 years ago, and you can look this up. But they did. Pretty sure it was an old Lifetime movie from a long time ago. Where in that they, they had Charlie Sheen. They didn't show anything, but it was basically insinuating that Charlie Sheen was doing this stuff to Corey Haim. So I don't know. That's just my take. Plus, they were having trouble playing it last night as the other thing. They kept saying that, it was being hacked and whatever. So I don't even know. I think they played it live. They played it in a theater somewhere in Hollywood. It was almost sold out. I saw pictures of that. So a bunch of people saw it live, but then I guess for the ones who paid online, I guess there were some issues. Not everyone got to see it. I don't know, whatever. It's just what I'm remembering from last night. And then today, like I said, I found that forum where I could watch some of it. And I don't know, it really wasn't that. You can probably put in, if you want to, put in YouTube, what is it called? The Rape of Two Coreys. If you want, try that. I mean, you know how YouTube runs nowadays. It's just like spinning the wheel when you do any kind of a search on YouTube. It's just like, it's gambling. It's spinning the wheel. You already know you're going to have to dip down the first two pages. Those are all going to be mainstream media, and they're not going to have anything to do mostly with what you're looking for. It'll just have a word that the algorithm picked up and just decided, okay, we'll show you this. I know you're not really looking for this, but you had a word in there that matches a story from 1999. So we're just going to go and give you this source here because it's authoritative. So there you go. The Rape of Two Coreys. You might be able to find it and watch it. So I wasn't bowled over. I didn't feel like it was a huge, but still, and that might be news to you. This Charlie Sheen thing. It is. It's. I mean, look at Charlie Sheen. Look at the kind of, if anybody's got a multitude of demons running through him. I mean, here's a guy. He's got a history of abuse on some of his wives, and he always seems to have some kind of thing going on, right? A lot of drug issues, of course. So there you go. You can look that up if you want to. Feldman's documentary revives past allegations that his late friend and Lucas co-star Corey Haim. Awesome movie, by the way. Have you seen Lucas? It's a great movie. Hard to watch it with the same eyes now with the story come out. Got to say. But Lucas co-star Corey Haim confided that he was raped by Sheen when he was just 13 during the making of the teen movie. According to a report from Entertainment Weekly, the doc features several other talking heads who also claimed that either Haim directly told them he had been abused by Sheen as a child, or that they had heard word of it from others years later. This wasn't like a one-time thing, he said in passing. It wasn't like, oh, by the way, this happened. He went into great detail. Feldman reportedly said in the documentary about Haim, he told me Charlie bent me over in between two trailers and put Crisco oil on my butt and raped me in broad daylight. Anybody could have walked by. Anybody could have seen it. Wow, that is just... Right? That's about all I need to know about Charlie Sheen. All right. I don't know. Whatever happens, it's falling in line with the global trend. There've been a lot of these child sex rings getting exposed and busted. There is one tied to the police department a while back, maybe 6 months ago. It was a big one, and it was down, I feel like it was Australia or maybe New Zealand. Do you guys remember that? There was a really big story out of there. Could be wrong. I see a lot of crazy stories. I know there's one connected to police in England, but all over, we've seen these stories here. There have been a lot of these rings getting busted, which is awesome. All this stuff's getting exposed. Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, excuse me, to film without live audience amid what virus fears. So that's what I was going to say, and I'll probably say it in this video I'm going to make tomorrow about this particular subject. But Yeah, I'm not one to predict things, but if I were, I would say keep an eye on San Francisco, especially Los Angeles and New York, because they're the most liberal. Portland, Oregon, perhaps maybe Seattle, Washington. These are the more liberal, well-known liberal cities in America. And San Francisco and Los Angeles they're literally turning into a huge toilet bowl right now. New York City has its issues as well with this kind of, I don't even want to call it Democrat. These people are just goofy far left, the far left, just control mongers, but I'd say keep an eye on those cities and what they do, because I'm wondering if they're just going to try to exacerbate the situation even worse, right? Just make it as bad as possible. It's okay, total lawlessness in their areas just to put it all on Trump, or crash the economy to put that on Trump and make him look bad and get power back. Because it seems like that's the kind of maniacs these people are in a lot of ways. And that's partially part of a narrative playing out as well. I understand that some people may say it's all completely scripted, but regardless, we see that as a possibility. These are the kind of monsters, though, in real life that they'll destroy everything, right? Just to pick up the remains, as long as they'll be the ones in charge. It's just that's all they want is their power, it seems. So be looking for that. Also, I bet you this is going to be a new trend as well. You can start seeing more of this. We saw it with Twitter. Of course, that's a very, Jack Dorsey's a well-known, goofy, extreme lefty, Marxist, whatever you want to call it, communist, commie, a red. He's a red. Guy's a red. But he's already been shutting down areas and having some of his people stay home to work, and that's going to mess with the economy. So I'll be looking for a lot of these tech companies that we know are kind of loony lefty. More globalist is what matters. It's not that paradigm we care so much about, but it's that, are they globalists? Are they part of that Luciferian plan? Even if they don't realize they're a part of it, are they doing things that are pushing it forward, that agenda? That's what I look for. So we'll see more companies perhaps, shutting down, trying to do things to mess with the economy, and it'll be interesting. It's its own form of warfare. It's really, really nasty. All the stuff that's happening with with the coverage and the media and just politics in general, and interesting to watch it all and just kind of crashing into each other, and so many things being exposed, and so many things being exposed. It really is. That's the apocalypse, right? That's the revealing. Things are being revealed, and everything really is coming to light, it seems. This one's really, really, really cool. This is on UFO Mania. The Truth is Out There. If you're interested, it's a cool OG channel. He's been around for quite a while covering the UFOs. I believe he's a Frenchman. That's why a lot of times his videos will have the robot voice, right? But regardless of the robot voice, he usually brings some really cool stuff. So let's see here. Rare jellyfish UFO caught on video in Brazil. I'll just get to where they play the original.
This is a rare capture of a UFO type I have heard about, but only seen a few times in blur photos in old reports. A jellyfish-shaped craft was recorded in the sky over Brazil last week. The object has a half-dome white body and long thick tentacles similar to a jellyfish. This has to be the best close-up of a jellyfish UFO I have ever seen. In the video,
All right, so I'll play the rest in a second, but just here's what I thought when I first saw this thing. I've done a couple videos in the past about jellyfish in space. I don't know if you guys seen those. Maybe you have, but they've had weird sightings of jellyfish in space, and who knows? Some of that could have been. Some people think it's jellyfish because they were filming things under the ocean to make it look like it was in space and all this other stuff. A lot of theories, but there have been jellyfish UFOs, seen in the skies before. This is one of those strange subjects like flying humanoids, right? And I've covered a lot. In fact, I've got another. I'm working on a bigger video, and it might be another one I'm going to make like a little movie and make it off of YouTube and call it "Don't Dare Call Them Aliens." And it's going to have all kinds of stuff in it, so it's going to be big. But it's going to have to use. I'm going to have to use some stuff that I'd get hit for if I put it on YouTube. So, like I said, I might make a big movie out of that one and cover kind of some of these different things. But these are, to me, they always have been, mostly, unless this is something fake, unless somehow it turned out to be, some people may say, a drone or maybe a kite, some people might say. But you notice the strands or the legs of the jellyfish looking thing, they're not moving. It's all kind of solid. And I've thrown out videos out there before about these being shapeshifters, shape-shifting beings. So when I first saw this, I thought, wow, what if we caught it in the middle of, maybe it just, it's seen these things, and maybe, are we seeing the way the mind of these things can work in some strange way? Like maybe it was interested in the shape of the jellyfish and said, I'll try that on. And now whoop, it turns into a jellyfish, we see it on camera. I don't know. All right. I know this is just my head kind of bouncing around wherever it wants to go. It does that sometimes. So I'm not saying that's exactly what we're looking at here, but I always talk about the shapeshifters up in there, up in the sky. And that'll be part of this bigger documentary as well. Excuse me. So, what do you think? It's interesting, isn't it? The look of this thing. I need to get a drink. Excuse me. Okay, thanks. That's better. I want to play the rest of this, but weird stuff. But is this just a demonic shape-shifting entity? Right, one of these creatures just forming the shape of, it looks like a jellyfish, or an octopus or whatever. Anyway, we'll see. Play some more. Or a kite or a drone, right? Here's a good close-up. Get that. What if I'm going to slow it down a little bit here? What do you think it could be? What are your ideas in the chat? Is that something, spiritual? Is it something man-made? There you go. That's cool. Nice and slow. Get a good look at it. Interesting, huh? Really is. I think it is. All right. There you have it, guys. Stuff like that's floating up in the sky. Not sure what it is. And that, there you go, is UFO Mania. Here's another UFO video. There's quite a few UFO videos this week. This is from Jeremiah Hurley, who has 4 subscribers. So I'm going to subscribe to Jeremiah Hurley. And let's see what he recorded here.
What the heck, guys? That is so strange. Look at that in the air. And it's like 10 o'clock at night. Seriously. Seriously. The heck? That is so weird. What the heck, guys? That is so strange. Look at that in the air. And it's like 10 o'clock at night. Seriously. Seriously. The heck?
So what do you guys think? Is that another orb? Yeah, is another one of these shapeshifters in the form of an orb? We see them like this a lot, don't we? And they'll change colors, and even then they'll change shapes. They'll disappear and they'll come back right before your very eyes. Interesting. I think get more of those tonight. Could it be an orb? Could it be a portal of some sort?
This is so weird.
Anyway. Here's another one. This is in Orlando, Florida. There's two. She put up a second video. She recorded 36 seconds of this, and then she made another one. And check these things out.
Heck?
You know what's crazy? It goes up like that and turns off, and then it turns back on and comes right back down.
Is that like drones?
It's impossible. There's like 6 of them. Look.
What the hell is that? Heck?
You know what's crazy? It goes up like that and turns off, and then it turns back on and comes right back down.
Is that like drones?
It's impossible. There's like 6 of them. Look.
What the hell is that?
Okay, now here's her second video. Check this out. If this isn't drones, I don't think this one's drones. We've seen drones, though. They have had drones out there passed off as UFOs in the past. We've seen some of those videos, but even if not, we keep seeing sightings like this. These orbs are showing up all over the world, and they show up like this. They change colors. They seem to come in and out of this dimension, is the way I see it, when they're fading in and fading out. They can change shapes. They're almost always seen in threes. And then on top of that, they have the actual spacecraft that's built with 3 lights underneath it. And that's, what's that one called? Stealth? The stealth bomber? There's other aircraft that people have filmed that look like that the government's created. So that's not to be confused with those. I believe we're looking at entities a lot of the time. These orbs being entities. So a lot of times I think soft disclosure, I've shown soft disclosure in news stories we're seeing, and a soft disclosure with the amount of sightings like this that we're seeing all over the world.
Like it has to be.
She's saying they have to be drones. That's the problem with, it can be so hard sometimes to find things that really are supernatural and paranormal and strange, right? And out there and spiritual, because it reminds me of the back around 2012, that was a real hot time on YouTube for reptilian footage and people shape-shifting on camera and their eyes flipping out and their bodies flipping out, right? And, you know, even back then, I remember it becoming an issue after a while, people just making fake videos and putting them out like they were real. And, you know, luckily you can, I was an editor in college. That was my minor, was editing, film editing. So I can, you know, I can edit, and I can kind of, you know, throughout the years, I think I've gotten pretty good at being able to tell what's the goofy made up stuff and then what's not, because there is some real stuff. Same thing with these UFOs, you know, a lot of times these things are real, you know, they're really, it's really happening. It's really out there, you know, but it's hard for people to believe because now they can easily fall back on drones. It's got to be drones, right? Online with the so-called reptilian eyes, and, you know, people with the terrors being exposed on camera and things like this. Oh, it's all Photoshop, man. Oh, they made the videos, and now you got, you know, the deep fakes. We got a whole new thing to deal with now. And we haven't even seen that exploited as bad as it can be exploited yet. And I hope we never do. But that's something where, you know, it's pretty amazing what they can come up with. They can put anybody's face on a body and, you know, make them do anything, right? It's insane. So, wow, I guess we'll see, huh? Okay, this one is pretty crazy. There's a couple of them. This is in Hong Kong from March 6th. So it's like 4 days ago. Another one, this is another one of those common types I've seen, at least, a lot of footage of this type of UFO, where it looks like there's lights on the other side of the cloud. When I first started seeing these a few years ago, just like everybody else, I thought that it had to be spotlights on the ground. But as time went on, people have been debunking that because these things are being seen not just over cities, but in other places as well. And I think there might be some examples tonight of this same kind of an anomaly. So again, I'm not saying it is actually something real. I'm not entirely sure in this case. Maybe it's some random spotlight thing in some, I don't know. But I know that this type, what you're about to see, has been recorded a lot. And it's really interesting. Check this out.
와, 와, 第一次見啊！唔係啦，話咩料啊？第一次咁密集啦，之前都冇咁密集嘅。
It slows down, but it gets really crazy again in a second. Watch.
哇，咩料啊？你睇下嗰邊有冇
？Okay, so you see what I mean, and you guys have probably seen examples on this show throughout the years because it's one I know I've seen before, and I don't think they're just the ones I put in the video. I put these in my videos sometimes too, but I'm sure I've shown you guys some of these because there's another really good one. I think it's right here. No, it's coming up in a second. There's another one though that's similar to that, and it's really crazy. Okay, so check this out. This one is Third Encounter, Red Glow in the Sky. Gary Chun, CHUNN, 9 subscribers. I'm going to go ahead and subscribe to him. I don't hardly subscribe to anybody at all these days, but why not subscribe to some of these channels and see what they got, right? All right, so Third Encounter. I listened to some of the beginning. I'll go ahead and play some for you. I think there might be some bad language here, so just in case there's kids in the room, you might want to turn the volume up. Just kidding. All right, here we go.
So I got another night. I come out here to smoke. It is 1:36, but something interesting about tonight. It looks like it's a light down on it, like something's beaming down on it. You see that, guys? Look at that. Hold on. Look at that. It's shining down from something. Something's shining down on it. It's like a pillar of light or something. I don't know if y'all see that at the top of it.
So anyway, but he apparently has had this experience for a few nights in a row now over an area, as most of these people say, you know, because it's what he's looking at is a purple sky, right? And I've been covering this since Prince passed away. So we've been having these symbols of the purple skies showing up for a while, even back then. It's probably been a good 3 years or so, right? We've been seeing that anomaly. And also, I'll put it, like I said, I need to do a UFO video and put this stuff together. It's been a while since I did one. And there's so much good footage coming out that's matching other footage all around the world. But also people are recording the sky in some places looking blood red, some places looking orange. There were a couple of cases where they found out that there were grow lights in an area where people were seeing some strange lights. And then, ever since that came out, now I've noticed that almost everybody just discounts these immediately. It's like, oh, those are grow lights. And it's not, you know, so you got to look into this and see what the people are saying. You can even ask these people questions in the comments sections, and you'll find out lately, you know, the last few years, the ones I've seen, 9 times out of 10, they can explain it as if there's not anything out there in that area. It's, you know, maybe it's in mountains or there's just forest out there, trees, this, that, the other. No lights, no nothing, no buildings. And this anomaly keeps happening. The purple skies, red skies, orange skies. We've even had the day turn to night a few times. That happened in Russia not long ago. Okay, man, here's the one. All right. Now, this one's a little older. This is from January 27th, 2020. But this is fastly becoming one of my favorite UFO type videos I've seen. The stuff's just, it's fascinating, of course, I think, to me. From On In, 1 subscriber. Now you got 2. And check this out, what he's recorded.
뭐야? 저쪽에도 있다. 저기 한 번씩 계속 나오다. 저것도 희한하네. 이게 뭐지? 이거 하는 거 있나? 이쪽에? 신기하다. 저기 비칠 리가 없는데 맞지? 아니 나도 좀 찍어놔야겠다. 아직 확실히 모르겠지. 없어요. 저기 있다. 이야, 진짜 신기하다.
Are you with me, man? I mean, that is just, to me, this is some of the coolest footage I've seen in a while. I mean, what do you think? Of course, we think spiritual, the demon, fallen angel, or could it be godly or heavenly angels? What do you think about that? What are your thoughts? Some people may say it's Project Blue Beam, but I don't know, man. Just the way these things are moving and what this looks like, it looks, man, yes, they're going to have to go into a video too. This reminds me of what that news station recorded in Milwaukee. It was maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. They were on commercial break and the cameras were still rolling, and they had a camera outside their studio that looked over, I believe it was Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm pretty sure Milwaukee. And they recorded these things up in the sky coming in and out. They look like little ghosts. They look like spirits, like what you'd see in the movies, right? And they were over Milwaukee. There were just dozens of them, and they were moving like this. So yeah, I need to. That'll be a good follow up. This is a good follow up video for that, or good footage for that. Look at these things. It's wild, huh? Look at that. He got like 4 minutes of footage of this too. That's another thing I like about it. A lot of times you'll see, that's what makes me question some footage that'll come out. It'll be 20 seconds of something or 30 seconds of something awesome, and then there's nothing. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense. If you're sitting there recording something awesome, you're going to record until your camera dies. Maybe their cameras died. I don't know, but I'm not so sure. Usually those turn out to be fakes anyway. So this is a long video. I'm not going to play it all. It's 8 minutes long, but we'll even jump here near the back and look at that. He's still catching him up there. Look at these, man. I mean, look at that. You with me on this, man? Isn't that interesting? Look at all of them. Are there even the other clouds? Okay. I could watch the whole thing, but I don't think that'd be fair for this person. But plus, you got to be careful playing everybody else's stuff. So it's on with a capital N is the YouTube channel. All right. If you want to come watch this footage, I don't know what that says, but he did put UFO in English in there, so that helps. So check this out, man. I'm going to save this one later. This is when I'm actually going to save to my computer. I really liked that footage. That was interesting. We have this one. Gnome Cognome, 6 subscribers. I got 7, my friend. And let's see what they recorded. This is kind of weird. This one's a weird one. I think this is in Italy. I think. You'll hear them talking.
Uffo in diretta, porco.
Sai i like che ricevi? Fagli il filmato. Vai col filmato adesso che sta.
Ma lo sto facendo, minchia.
Sta atterrando.
Sta accendo, minchia.
È un UFO, è un UFO. Nel senso che non si sa che cazzo è.
Gigante.
È un oggetto volante non identificato.
Minchia, sta scendendo. Un golfino qualcosa. Che avrà? Ma è gigante. Che sembra una luna.
Qui che scende, sai? Guarda che non ci vedo sopra.
con mandorle.
There you go. Pretty interesting, eh? Considering it was, I'm pretty sure it's Italy. When I first saw this, I know it sounds weird, but I thought that looked like, I know it's not, but understanding what's happening in Italy right now with the virus, it's like, wow, that looks like a massive coronavirus cell or whatever it is, doesn't it? Looks like a massive one that's floating up in the sky. I know that's not what it is, folks. But that'd be weird. Gotta admit. All right. Told you we had a lot of UFO videos there. There's some other ones coming up here later. Steven Spielberg's porn star daughter, 24, says she just celebrated a week sober after domestic violence arrest following a late-night argument with her 47-year-old fiancé. Michaela Spielberg was charged with domestic assault causing bodily harm against Chuck Pankow, 47, earlier this month and booked into the Hill Detention Center in Nashville, Tennessee. The 24-year-old has since revealed to her more than 76,000 Instagram followers that she just celebrated a week sober. Navigating my own fears like a pro who somehow still knows nothing, Michaela shared on her private account. Send me good loving energy, y'all, and I can try to put that into the world. I'll still be a flirty odd duck at the end of the day. I'm really trying to improve my connection to my body and manifest personal safety and genuine caution as it relates to me, she added. Sounds like a new agey, doesn't she? And that's why I follow this story, because she's Steven Spielberg's daughter. And remember the story that came out last week, how she was going to get into pornography, and she admitted that she had been abused by monsters growing up. I mean, she didn't name names, but one can only imagine, and you would think that these kids would be the safest of all, right? Especially with a Spielberg, like a multi-billionaire, famous Hollywood producer director. These would be the safest kids of all, but so oftentimes it seems the exact opposite. It seems like a lot of the kids, the celebrities, have the biggest problems. A lot of them getting drugs and weird stuff and problems. And we saw that picture of Chet Hanks I showed you guys on here a few weeks ago. He got a huge Illuminati pyramid with an eye at the top, on his chest, I think it was. So same with, I'll explain, I'll show you here in a little bit with this other guy I was going to show you here. But anyway, there she is with her fiance. Michaela was arrested after she allegedly became violent with Pankow and threw things at him during an argument. The two had just returned from a night out at a local bar. Tensions reportedly escalated when Pankow made a rude comment toward Michaela, prompting her to get angry and throw objects at him. Because that's what we do, and we're angry. Right, guys? Come on, that's what we do. When we get mad, we throw things at people. Authorities did not disclose what type of objects were allegedly launched at Pankow, but one object struck his hand and left a visible injury. It resulted in a dried blood on his hand, a swollen wrist, and marks on the skin. Officers later said the injuries appeared fresh and recent. Both Michaela and Pankow admitted the dispute to authorities when they arrived at the scene. However, Michaela reportedly changed her version of the domestic dispute and made conflicting statements, authorities said. They determined Michaela was the aggressor in the incident based off of the victim's statements, his visible injuries, and her changing statements. Pankow, a professional dart player, refused to prosecute over the alleged domestic assault, but authorities are prosecuting on his behalf. All right. Poor kid. Gee whiz. What kind of damage has this one seen, Yeah, hypersexualized, right? Overly sexualized. Oh well. What you gonna do? Plumbing malfunction had wine flowing from faucets, shower heads in northern Italy. Can you imagine that? Red wine flowed from a faucet for a few hours on Wednesday, March 1st in Castel Vetro in northern Italy. A malfunction at a local winery sent 1,000 liters of ready-to-be-bottled wine through the water pipes of about 20 homes. The wine flowed from faucets and shower heads for a few hours. Wow. Local government officials said there was no health risks to residents. The town's deputy mayor admitted the glitch was a moment of levity for Italians dealing with the you-know-what outbreak. The health crisis has hit residents of northern Italy especially hard. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Can you imagine that? What would you do if all of a sudden wine started flowing out of your shower head while you're taking a shower? Would you just open your mouth and just stay in there like for a couple hours, just drinking wine right out of the shower head? It doesn't matter. Tastes good. Makes you feel good. Just sitting there drinking wine in the shower out of the shower head. I wouldn't do that, but I would be because you don't know what it is. You don't know what's coming out of your shower head. So I guess the last thing you would think it'd be wine. You'd probably think it'd be old rusty water, maybe a pipe broke or something weird. I don't know. Oh, that's what it looks like. There you go. Whoa, that looks like yogurt or something on that side. Look at that. Wow. Just put your mouth down there, a couple hours, just drinking wine right out of the faucet. 1,000 liters. It was ready to be bottled too. Wow. There you go. Middle school hangs LGBT flag in cafeteria, bans the flag of the traditional family. Why am I not surprised by this? Minneapolis, Minnesota, March 6th, 2020. A small-town Minnesota school has become a center of controversy because of LGBT pride flag hanging in its cafeteria. Following several weeks of parental and community concern, packed school board meetings, and student anxiety, Thomas More Society attorneys have requested an array of formal documents from school officials to investigate how policies may have been violated in this scenario. Marshall Middle School in Marshall, Minnesota serves 679 students in grades 5 to 8. The rainbow pride flag, which is used to represent people who have chosen a lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender lifestyle, hangs in the school's cafeteria alongside the United States flag and a variety of international flags. To what end, I ask, of course, but I know. I know. Students circulate a petition opposing the LGBT flag and request to display other flags offered by the school population were not welcomed by the administration. You will abide by this, children. Shut your mouths, right? Thomas More Society Special Counsel Eric Cardall, who has been retained to represent a group of Marshall residents, commented on the situation. At the very least, it's divisive and insensitive. It makes it appear that the school supports one group's beliefs at the expense of others. He added that when students expressed their concern to teachers and administrators over the lifestyle that the flag promotes, they were bullied. Whether this was an inappropriate decision by a staff member or a deliberate violation of students' rights, this is a serious matter. It's incumbent upon school officials to write and enforce rules that prevent the public school from being turned into a forum for the display of a single ideology. As members of the academic community, these administrators should understand that you cannot trample on the right to free speech. Cardall stated that the school's denial of other flags, such as the historical American Gadsden, the Don't Tread on Me flag, and a banner depicting a heterosexual family, shows that officials are imposing ideological beliefs on students. Of course they are. These are little indoctrination centers. Ironically, of course, the rainbow flag is most famous for being involved in protest, but now those advocating the symbol of protest will not tolerate the expression of opposing ideas. That sounds familiar. Whether the school's controversial display of the LGBT pride flag will result in a federal lawsuit remains to be seen and will depend on how the Marshall School Board responds to the request for its written policies. School buildings are funded by public tax dollars, explained Cardall. A viewpoint-neutral policy toward flags and other displays will assure taxpayers that their money does not go to promote symbols of beliefs that they may not agree with. If a federal lawsuit is needed to make this happen, we are equipped to pursue that action. Cool. Do it. Here you go. Do it. This is really weird. Check this out. Of course, this is just when you think people can't become more degenerate. Coronavirus porn is going viral on Pornhub now. In a video titled "Body Cam Footage Investigates Deserted Wuhan." Anyway, I don't want to read all this. I just wanted to show you that that's actually a thing. That's something that people are getting into. Don't want to read more about it or understand it. It's just when I think people can't get any crazier or creepier or any weirder, you find stuff like this. That's what somebody thinks is oof. I don't know. And yet another edition of who they really are is from Twitchy. Watch Cenk Uygur badger and yell at black airline employees. I've put up a few stories on this guy, and the reason he's of interest is he's one of these, I guess an icon of the left, for a lot of the millennials. He's also protected by Little Susan, here at YouTube. YouTube loves the Young Turks, right? They love the Young Turks. And they recently got a lot of money. It may have been Soros money. You guys can look into this, but they're starting some new big show or something. They're making a big move. But they recently received millions of dollars for a new project, the Young Turks. And these are the people that'll get mad at you if you bring up the Turkish genocide that happened, or the Armenian genocide. There's a whole group out there. I don't know what they call themselves, but they've trolled him quite a few times, and they've busted them up at public meetings when Cenk Uygur is out espousing his nonsense. You'll see these people come up and try to take him to task about the Armenian genocide. It's an Armenian group that's doing this. And apparently he has downplayed it and said some things about it that aren't true. And this has really upset some people. But anyway, all that being said, so, again, these people, the ones on the American left always try to come off like, these are the most sensitive people out there, that for the people, they care about you, they're good people, they're this, they're that. They're perfect. So it's always nice to see, catch them doing something like this, just being annoying and rude. It's a millionaire here. Millionaire, YouTube darling, more reach than they deserve, right? But then, this is how hard a life he's got here.
Airlines sucks. They decided, for whatever reason, to screw everybody on this flight. It just frustrates me that some industries just get to screw you over and go, nah. You got to fly at some point, right? It is Gustavo. That's a TYT viewer. And I'm hungry and I'm tired. And so, like, me, I get more agitated when I'm hungry and tired. So, look, if you guys think this is bad, wait till, if that plane doesn't actually come from the hangar in 20 minutes. Is the flight coming? Supervisor, is the flight coming? Supervisor, you at least got to be honest. Is there a flight? Is there a plane? You got to be honest. Is there a plane? Is there a plane? Where's the plane? Where's the plane? Is there a plane? Where is it? Where's the plane? But listen, if we just sit here and take it, they'd have us here until 6 in the morning, and then they'd fuck us even harder, okay? So I need to, you're a supervisor, aren't you? Where's the plane?
Sorry, I'm not going to answer your question.
No, I know, because I've been here for 4 hours. Don't give me this. Where's the plane? Here, I got a question for you. When did you make the decision that we weren't going to have a plane? When did you make that decision? Who made the decision? Who made the decision that we weren't? It's funny to you, right? It's not funny to us. Who made the decision? Who made the decision? Who made it? Well, who is it? That's what I'm asking. Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? Is there a crew? Is there a crew? Is there a crew?
By yelling, we're not going to be able to answer the question.
Okay, let me whisper it. Is there a crew? Is there a plane or a crew?
Like 204, your plane is already on its way from the hangar.
No, but they told us that 4 hours ago. Is it actually coming? Is it actually coming? Because I literally heard it was coming from the hangar 3 hours ago. I literally heard that.
Ugh, I know, annoying, right? But there was another clip of him I saw just a few days ago where he was almost in tears because he didn't think Bernie was going to be the president. And then I found some other videos connected to that of people in actual tears. There was one of some young girl. Her mom was recording it at their house. Looked like a upper class, nice house, nice place, plenty of money. Recording their little girl, and she's crying because Bernie just wants to help people, and she didn't think he was gonna be the president. It's just the level, right, that people are under of delusion. But again, I can't judge because I was like that for years. I was a hardcore Republican most of my early life, and I went to the military, active duty, early 20s. I was in for 8 years active. That's around the time that Fox News came around and started becoming a big thing. And when I was in the Coast Guard, they broadcast that everywhere. It was on every TV and every station I was ever in. It was Fox News. But so I was big time Republican for a long time, even through film school. I went to film school after the military. I was one of the few kind of Republicans, but I started kind of softening my views about that in the military, or in film school, because it was all art students. Some of them, of course, were really extreme, but then some became my friends, and they had good, interesting arguments for things, and I couldn't deny it. So I started kind of changing then. Then when after living in New York for a while, I went to LA, and then after, of course, 5 or 6 years out there, I woke up to this stuff, and then I made the scariest movie ever made. And then that changed everything, my views on politics and everything, of course, just like you guys, just like most of you. So anyway, there you go. Got that. California to remove homosexual child rapists from the sex offender registry if they're not more than 10 years older than their victim. Wow. When we talk about any sanctuary state, we can't be surprised by the news, but when we talk about California, they lead the pack. Hollywood, drugs, illegals, feces on the streets, and sexual predators. These are some of the things we have in California, but it seems they don't intend to change. A bill called the LGBTQ Young People Non-Discrimination and the Sex Offender Registry Act, wow, that's a mouthful, literally deletes the most vulnerable population, children, from the list of potential victims of homosexual sex offenders. Under the legislation, a 24-year-old grown man, would be able to sodomize a 14-year-old boy and claim it was consensual. Of course, 14-year-old children cannot consent to sodomy or vote, smoke, drink, drive, sign contracts, and so on because they're children. Also, according to this bill, the last word is left to the judge, who will decide whether to remain a homosexual child molester in the list of threats to children or not. Given the fact that most of the judges in California are liberals, we know what we can expect from them. Although the bill has not yet been passed, this does not stop transgender people and transvestites, who are at the same time convicted sex offenders, from continuing to promote promiscuous sexual intercourse among children through the Drag Queen Story Hour, in which they constantly act as speakers, people of non-traditional sexual orientation, and concurrently convicted sex offenders. Beneficial through representatives of sexual minorities tried to push this bill through last year, but among the California authorities, there were those who blocked the new law, thereby causing the anger of the LGBT community. No sex between a 24 and 14-year-old is consensual, explained Assemblyman Lorenza Gonzalez. So to summarize, California wants to exempt LGBT child rapists from sex offender registry if they are not more than 10 years older than the victim. So let's do the math, it says. Rape a 1-year-old at 11, pass. 2 at 12, 3 at 13, we get it. 10 at 20, And then you can see that's right, 7 at 17. Okay. Not good. I'm not in California, but if you are and there's anything you can do to help stop this, of course, in a peaceful way, like a get together with other people who are trying to stop this or get some petitions rolling or whatever it is, there you go. There's something for you to fight for. Fight against, I mean. UN crowd gasps as Italian politician tells climate change activist Greta Thunberg to go back to school and go back to a normal life. This was great. All right, let me see. Is this it? Yeah, here you go. This is classic.
Mr. Chair, Mr. esteemed colleagues, today marks a major milestone under the Green Deal with the publication of the European Climate Law, which legally enshrines the 2050 climate neutrality target. On the other hand, I have some serious reservation about the Commission proposal to revise the all post-2030 climate targets via delegated acts, which are a very weak legal instrument and therefore ineffective, in my opinion. To be very frank, moreover, given the breadth of the European Green Deal, it is imperative that all the policy initiatives are thoroughly impact assessed, especially considering the increased 2030 targets. To be very frank, the CR Group is opposing an increase on the gas emission reduction targets, also because it would undermine legal and regulatory certainty, as expressed several times by the previous Commission. In order to sum up the ECR position, I would like to state the following. Number one, do not change the targets. I would like, stay with the Paris Agreement. Number two, focus on impact assessment from a technical, socioeconomic, and industrial point of view. We want more in-depth planning and less rhetoric and climate symbolism. Number three, put pressure on third parties to follow our path. They already mentioned several of my colleagues, but without a global teamwork, and I'm referring again to the US, China, and India especially, the European effort will have no significant impact on the global climate and will cause the destroyal of our economy.
Here it comes.
I would like to conclude in a slightly unconventional way, if I may. First of all, I personally wish to thank Ms. Thunberg for her important role in raising public awareness on this fundamental topic. At the same time, I would like to give an advice, as a father giving advice to a daughter. Go back to school and go back to a normal life.
Yes.
Your childhood is as precious as the climate. And if you don't do something about it, you will lose it forever. As if we do not do anything about the climate, we will lose it forever. Thank you very much.
Nice.
She knows more about science.
Some people cheered him, huh? And then this guy at the end says, she knows more about science than most adults. Yeah, that's the end. And that's exactly how he said it. And she knows more about science than most adults. Anyway, that foolishness. All right. Okay, I don't know if I'm allowed to play this one. That's what sucks. Anyway, have you heard about this? There's been news that that Post Malone has been stumbling around on stage. People think he's on drugs or he's drinking too much or a combination of all this, that he's fallen apart. There's some videos out there that people say he looks like he's possessed. I'll see if this is one of them. His eyes are rolling back in his head and he's acting crazy. I can maybe play 10 seconds at a time, I think.
We're in Brooklyn. It's crazy.
We'll play a little bit here. But this is leading up to something. Well, I'll show you.
It's wild. Today was cool, we just ran around.
All right, this isn't it. Okay, this is it. So that's the kind of thing you're trying to catch here. And unfortunately, these people got these dumb boxes right here in the way. But he flashes the horns, the 666, with his left arm or his left hand. You'll see it. And then his eyes are rolled back into his head, right? But anyway, I'm just showing you a few examples of some of the stuff people have been talking about. So see, you can see that there, right? There you go. He's doing the horns. See? Right? And then there was his eyes rolled back. But anyway, the reason any of this might be relevant is wait a second. Let's see. All right. Anyway, what I was going to show you is this is what I thought was interesting. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's nothing. All right. Watch this. This is the kind of thing that way back in the day, many years ago, when I very first started doing this kind of thing, that I probably would have made a whole video about just this symbol or something, you know. But that's why I like doing these shows, because I can take my time with my videos, make them big, pack them with everything I want to pack them with. So there's a lot of stuff there. And then these shows pick up all the other stuff, you know, just kind of the little things like this I think are kind of interesting. But this is his Doritos commercial. This just came out January 26, 2020. And it's just been in the last few months or so that he's been really acting out. And you can go online. There's a bunch of, you'll find news stories about it. What's happening with Post Malone? What's wrong with Post Malone? People are worried about Post Malone. So that was one part of it, but there's more. I'll show you here in a second. The part that matters. The eyes, right? Of course. Here it is. This is it. He got his tattoo. There it is, man. He's got the pyramid, right, with the eye on top. He's got the Illuminati symbol. Am I right? I mean, I'm right. And it's something I noticed back when I very first saw this commercial, and just, you know, it's one of those things you put in the back of your head, and maybe later it'll connect to something else. And just the way my head works, that's what I've been noticing with all this new, you know, concern around Post Malone, and he's acting out and acting weird. And, you know, I'm just going to say it. You know, I wonder about these things. Again, guys, not saying this is what it is. I don't know. But I wonder, are we looking at the effects of, you know, one of them demons who got put on him? You know, did he, how deep of a ritual did he go through? Did he really do this? Is this a sign, right, of him being a part of that club? We call it the Illuminati, but it's really just they're Luciferian, right? They're Satanists, Luciferian Satanists. And we know that some of their rituals involve taking on demons, right? Being a host, things like this. So could that be part of it? Is he just getting riddled with demons now that he's sold his soul to this? Could that be another part of it? And that's what we're seeing the effects of? I don't know. Just food for thought. No pun intended. A Doritos commercial. But seriously, just something to think about. And I don't think there's really anything else here I noticed when I saw it last. No. All right, there you go. Well, he's like invited into the club here at the end, I guess. Right?
Come on, man. Wow.
I don't know. So he got his Illuminati tattoo, and you know he's in the club. Anyway, that's the way I see stuff. Bill would make tech firms accountable for child sex abuse imagery. March 5th, 2020. Legislation announced on Thursday aimed at curbing the spread of online child sexual abuse imagery would take the extraordinary step of removing legal protections for tech companies that fail to police the illegal content. A separate international initiative that was also announced takes a softer approach, getting the industry to voluntarily embrace standards for combating the material. The two measures come as tech companies continue to detect an explosion of abusive content on their platforms, and amid complaints that neither Congress nor the companies have been aggressive enough in stopping its spread. An investigation last year by the New York Times found that many companies knew about the problem but failed to quash it, despite having the tools to do so, and the federal government had not been adequately enforcing a previous law meant to stem the abuse. Multiple U.S. agencies, together with the governments of Britain, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, released a set of voluntary guidelines on how platforms can stop the spread of online child sexual abuse material, commonly referred to as, we know what it's referred to as. I got to be careful. I don't like seeing too many trigger words on YouTube, you know. Maybe it's just me, but that's just the way I like to keep it. Those recommendations were developed in conjunction with a half dozen tech companies: Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Roblox, Snap, and Twitter. The bipartisan legislation likewise calls for industry standards and creates a strong incentive for companies to adopt them. The bill sponsors Senators Lindsey Graham of South Carolina and, oh well. The new bill, called the Earn It Act, would carve out an exception to that rule. Companies that don't follow the recommended standards would lose civil liability protections for that type of content. The legislation would also lower the bar for suing those tech firms. The bill would create a 19-member commission, including members representing law enforcement, the tech industry, and child advocates, to recommend a set of strategies, for instance, how to spot illegal material, categorize it in standardized ways, and verify users' ages. These practices would be subject to approval by the Justice Department and other agencies, as well as Congress and the President. The reason I'm showing you guys this, I remember now, the reason I pulled this story up is the way it was presented before I read it, is apparently this is going to be a way that the government, that Trump, it's a Trump thing here, that the government is going to be able to go after some of these tech companies, especially, you know, of course, YouTube, Facebook, Google in general, Twitter, you know, the rest of them, and actually, you know, start going after them if they're allowing some of this content to be on their, you know, on their platforms. And of course, we know that kind of stuff's on there. There's all kinds of bad stuff I'm sure you can find on YouTube still, but, you know, right? I mean, I imagine there is. I just remember when all the censorship stuff started popping up, people started making videos showing all the horrible stuff you can find on YouTube. It's just readily available, that some of it even had ads on it. But then, you know, people talking about politics or, you know, religion or whatever are getting demonetized, removed, etc. Right? So there we go. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. The Earn It Act. New York City subway rider sprays Asian man with Febreze and tells him this is just the madness of people. You know, I pray that this stuff stays at a minimum and that people just don't lose it all over. But we know there's going to be pockets of this. We know there's going to be some people acting out and just doing weird stuff like this. So New York City subway rider sprays Asian man with Febreze and tells him to move in a coronavirus hate crime as mounting cases that have put 2,700 in quarantine leave the city on edge.
So, tell him to move. Because he's standing right next to me. I don't want him under me. Tell him to move. Tell him to move. Move.
You see that? It's hard to see. I don't want to keep it full screen because I think that's how they, you know, get copyright stuff on you. Anyway, he reaches over and grabs it and starts spraying them. Anyway, that's about it. Luckily, it didn't turn into anything violent, it seems. So that's good. There we go. Okay, this is crazy. So I was talking earlier about keeping your eye on San Francisco as well. You know, they recently passed this new law in San Francisco on top of all the other madness, all the chaos, right? All the nihilism taking place out there. But they passed a new law to where they won't prosecute you if you steal anything under, it's either $900 or $1,000. You can look this up. I'm not sure, $900 or $1,000. San Francisco just passed a law recently. They will not prosecute you if you steal anything under $1,000. Okay, tell me that's not just releasing lawlessness, chaos. When I see that, it's just, to me, it's I can't help but see Pelosi in a black robe and doing the rituals, and that's what these Luciferians are all about. These Satanists ultimately is just full-on chaos at this point, right? And destruction as well. So are we seeing that manifest now in their, you know, changing the rules and laws and just really basically legalizing anarchy in a sense? It seems that's what's happening. This is real footage. This made national news and whatnot. Took place in San Francisco at a Walgreens. Watch this.
Please leave the store.
Oh my God! Call the police! Yeah, you need a police officer. Major robbery at Walgreens, 1630 Ocean Avenue. Yeah, too friendly. Oh my God! Oh, why is it so crazy?
Please leave the store.
Oh my God! Call the police! Yeah, you need a police officer. Major robbery at Walgreens, 1630 Ocean Avenue.
Wow, what do you think about that? I know for a fact a couple of my friends here on YouTube live out there in that area, and you know, I'd be interested to see what you guys think. But anybody else that live out there in the Bay Area, live out there in San Francisco, and have firsthand, you know, accounts of some of the stuff like this happening? I would hate to think this would be a trend, but I don't see how they could stop it with the, you know, it's also got a massive homeless population. So that's just opening the doors wide open. Come on in, take what you want. You know, you won't get arrested as long as it's under $900 or $1,000. New study finds FBI dropped investigations on terrorists behind Fort Hood, Pulse nightclub, Garland, and Boston Marathon Islamist attacks. Of course they did. Nadal Hassan, Tamerlan Sarnev, Elton Simpson, Omar Mateen, Ahmad Rahami, Esteban Santiago. Pulse nightclub terrorist Omar Mateen murdered 49 gays on a dance floor before killing himself. Boston Marathon bombers killed 3, injured 264. Well, anyway, we know these things are all questionable, and that's a whole other story altogether. That's why this story is, I don't want to say it's funny because everything that happened here is a tragedy, but in a different kind of way, right? I mean, of course, the FBI is going to drop these investigations because elements of they're calling it the deep state now, but it's FBI, CIA. We know a lot of these kind of things are arranged. False flags, they say, hoaxes in some sense, psyops. They switch them up. Sometimes it is a real person, but that person's been prepared for this, right? Set up for these things. Sometimes they're assisted. I've covered that, shown a lot of examples of it. I know a lot of other people have too. Says new IG report, we found at least 6 attacks committed in the United States by individuals who the FBI had previously assessed or investigated. And that's another element we see in a lot of these events, is the FBI already knew about these people. Then all of a sudden, no way, they somehow got a hold of all these weapons, and they did this elaborate plan by themselves, right? Including the 2009. Yeah, we already got all that. So there you go. There we go. This story ends with, of course, the FBI had plenty of resources available to spy on Donald Trump and his family and sent 25 agents in a CNN camera crew to Florida to arrest Roger Stone and his wife at 6 in the morning. This is a Gateway Pundit, so that's why it's a right-leaning news source here. So, of course, they got to say that. This is an older story, but I just stumbled on this. And I found it very interesting. It has to do with 5G. I had never heard about this. So to me, this is big news. It's important. And I'm just waiting to find other things connect this to that are happening now. 5G debuts at Winter Olympics as a boar repellent. So that's not, I thought it was just supposed to make my movies download faster, right? My songs to kick in quicker. I guess not. The first to experience the future of wireless technology well before most humans will be South Korea's wild boars. That's because 5G, the 5th generation wireless network, is making its worldwide debut at the Winter Olympics. The technology will be used to ward off the porcine pests who roam the mountainous region around the games with fast-acting systems that shoot rays, spew gases, and emit tiger roars. Did you hear that? This is what 5G can do. I didn't know this. I think it's a kind of a big deal. The technology will be used to ward off the porcine pests who roam the mountainous region around the games with fast-acting systems that shoot rays, 5G. I'm going to do a whole video on this. Spew gases and emit tiger roars. That's just the start of 5G. South Korea's attempt to showcase the first in the world commercial use of the technology that's not scheduled to roll out globally until 2020. At the games, shuttle buses run with no humans at the wheel, and 360-degree images in real time show competing figure skaters as they glide around the ice. Fifth-generation wireless networks are designed to be wicked fast, of course, about 100 times faster than 4G. That's a lot. At 10 gigabytes a second, 5G can send a full-length, high-definition movie in seconds. It also paves the way for the Internet of Things. Right, they want that all set up by 2030 as well. The agenda, part of the agenda, because they're going to connect, ultimately they're going to connect humanity to the Internet of Things. That's the ultimate goal. We'll all be connected to everything. Well, I'm not. I don't want to say we. I'm not going to do it, but the Internet of Things, where devices from refrigerators to traffic lights to dog collars can talk to each other. What could go wrong, right, guys? And do we really need that? Do we really need that? We don't. The tech industry is counting on the new capabilities. 5G will be important for developing artificial intelligence. I've covered that as well. It will be a very important part of that. Drones. They're going to come find you. You didn't take your chip. Self-driving vehicles, robots, Terminator, awesome, and other machines that transmit Massive data in real time, said Sandra Rivera. I know I'm kind of adding on a bit there, but still, one has to wonder. In other words, if computers talk to each other like children in 4G now, they'll soon speak like grown-ups in 5G. It really is, we call it the era of machines, Ms. Rivera said. Machines are coming, and the 5G is a big enabler with the true convergence of computing communications. Pyeongchang Showcase, engineered by South Korean telecom carrier KT Corp, uses technology from Intel, Ericsson, and Samsung Electronics. Okay, it's just that stuff now. All right, I think that's good, because I'm probably going to, I'll put this whole thing in a video, because I'm already thinking of some other stories that's connecting with there. Cannibal frat boy 23 randomly killed Florida couple and chewed the man's face off after downing cooking oil mixed with hallucinogenic mushrooms was legally insane when he attacked them, new court documents reveal. This was one that I covered as well way back. To me, this, the whole way it played out, you know, well, even right here, I'll just read it. It says even Haroof was his name, Dylan Haroof. Austin Haroof. Haroof believed God and demons were talking to him before the murders. I've done videos where I showed that a lot of these people have that experience, that had no prior issues with, they weren't schizophrenic, had no emotional or psychological issues before, nothing in the families, good families, you know, they come from, and then something happens. Usually it's, to me, it's they open a doorway, they get on some kind of a drug, a K2 usually, some of that stuff, right? Or other forms of speed seem to have triggered this with some people. Hallucinogen, I don't know. I can't buy it. It's just mushrooms, you know, but then again, I don't know. Maybe that is for some people. Maybe it was a mix of things he was on. I do know that when they picked him up, and this happened a few years back, but when they picked him, everything had been going fine. There was footage of him at a restaurant with his mom and dad. He left before they did, just got up, he walked away. And the next thing you know, on his way home, he noticed a neighbor's garage door was up. A man and a woman, middle-aged, a couple, were sitting out front. He ran over and attacked them. He winds up killing both of them and partially eating the man's face in the process. When the police showed up, he said, "You can test me. I'm not on anything. I'm not on." See, that's why I might need to do a follow-up and show that stuff as well, because it looks like now they're trying to say he was on cooking oil mixed with hallucinogenic mushrooms. You know, this is years later, but I remember this stuff right when it happened, the story. He even told the police, "You can test me. You're not going to find anything on me." And then a lot of it was spiritual talk. He felt like he was possessed. He felt like a monster was in him, all this other stuff. So I felt this at the time was an example of that. We'll just read some here. Of a real possession, potentially. A 23-year-old accused of randomly killing a Florida couple and chewing the face of the dying husband was legally insane at the time of the attack, court documents filed this week show. Prosecution psychiatrist says Florida college student Austin Haroof was legally insane when he fatally attacked Michelle and John Stevens outside their home in August 2016. The findings show that Haroof, who was then 19, believed God and demons were talking to him, and he had increasing paranoia and other hallucinations in the lead up to the killings. On the evening of the killings, his mother found him at her home drinking cooking oil mixed with Parmesan cheese. See, I don't remember that from the original stories. That's why it seems like that's changing. Maybe this is something the attorney, you know, conjured up, and he's admitting to. Maybe they'll get a different kind of a circumstance for him. Maybe he'll get moved to a psychiatric place, which might be more comfortable, or maybe get some time. I don't know. Who knows what it is? But anyway, I don't remember this from the original stories that came out. The victim's family alleges the concoction was spiked with the hallucinogenic mushrooms. Landrum also noted that Haroof is being treated for schizophrenia while jailed. Right. So that was before the attack. There was none of this, right? I remember them addressing that. There's no talk of it, and now, of course. So it's probably something they're putting together, right, to maybe get the sentence cut a little shorter, or a change in his circumstances. The psychiatrist's finding bolsters the case of Haruf's attorney, who are planning to argue the 23-year-old should be found not guilty by reason of insanity at his murder trial, which is scheduled for May. Landrum's conclusion was that Haruf was unable to distinguish right from wrong when he killed the couple, the legal standard in Florida for being found not guilty by reason of insanity. He faces a life sentence if convicted. If Haruf is found not guilty by reason of insanity, that does not mean he would go free. It's the couple he killed. Whoa. He would be committed to a state mental hospital, and his attorneys have previously conceded it is unlikely that he would ever be released. Haruf has a mental illness, and because of the illness is manifestly dangerous to himself and others, Landrum wrote. Defense attorney Nellie King welcomed Landrum's finding while understanding it may provide little comfort to the victims' families. However, mental illness is very real and can lead to unintentional yet tragic outcomes, King said. The defense examiner also found him legally insane. Prosecutors and attorneys who representing Michelle Stevens' family in a lawsuit against Haruf had no immediate comment. The family sued him for wrongful death in 2018 after becoming impatient with the speed at which the criminal trial was moving. A pre-trial hearing on the criminal case is scheduled for Thursday. Yo, I guess he used a wine bottle? Wow. And that. Here's some. When Martin County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the Stevensons' home north of Palm Beach on the night of August 15, 2016, they found a horrific scene court documents, recordings, and photos show. Michelle Stevens, 53, lay mangled and dead in the garage, and Haruf, then a muscular exercise science major at Florida State University, was attacking and biting her 59-year-old husband on the driveway. Haruf is alleged to have also wounded neighbor Jeffrey Fisher, who tried to save the couple. One deputy ordered Haruf off at gunpoint while another used an electric stun gun on him, but he wouldn't let go. Deputies say they didn't shoot Haruf because they feared hitting John Stevens. Finally, a deputy with a dog arrived, and its bites enabled deputies to subdue Haruf, who had no previous arrest record. He told deputies, "Help me, I ate something bad," and then admitted it was humans as he spit out a piece of flesh, court documents show. He begged deputies to kill him after they pulled him off Stevens, according to the records. "Shoot me now, I deserve to die," Haruf said. Haruf has a history of alcohol and drug abuse. Oh, okay. Well, I guess this guy did have a history of some stuff, some abuse, including cocaine, methamphetamine. Well, there you go. The portals, right? Including cocaine, methamphetamine, and other stimulants and hallucinogens like mushrooms, but blood tests only found marijuana in his system in the hours after the killings. So that's the important part there, right? But blood tests only found marijuana in his system in the hours after the killings. Landrum wrote that Haruf in an October interview told him that in the weeks leading up to the killings, he had begun to feel go, go, go and experienced grandiosity during the day and paranoia at night. Demons and God were talking to him. He said it felt like he had Jesus' special abilities while working at his job as a dental assistant, and that he blessed the dental instruments by pouring water on them. Haruf told Landrum that on the day before the killings, he felt that dog spirits had become part of him and he had new strength and agility. There's the night he left the restaurant I was telling you about. It's just a few seconds. About 45 minutes before the attack, Haruf argued with his father and stormed out of a restaurant 2 miles from the Stevensons' home. He later told the Dr. Phil television show that he was fleeing a demon called Daniel. He told Landrum that he recalls having a machete in his hand and stabbing a woman. It was like she was covered in darkness. He recalled seeing a man who was glowing white and began stabbing and biting him. He remembers drinking a liquid, calling out to God to save him, and feeling he was a dog before blacking out. Haruf was hospitalized for nearly 2 months, recovering from injuries caused by drinking a caustic liquid found in the couple's garage. His criminal trial will begin in May with a pretrial schedule for Thursday afternoon. All right. Wow, right? That's just... Wow. There he is now. I'm looking for something right here. I was trying to see... Looking for a story. A particular one. All right. Hey, guys, if you don't mind, I just realized we've been going about an hour and 40 minutes. Give me just a short break, all right? I'll be back in about 2 minutes. Sound good? I just got to get something to drink over here, and I'll be good to go. All right? Once it's moonshine, don't worry. It's going to be all right. I'll be back in just about 2 minutes. Thanks, guys. All right, guys. Hey, thanks so much, man. I never know what to... I wish there was a way I could set something up for you that you could watch for, a couple minutes, or, I don't know, music, a song. I don't know. We'll figure something out. I don't know what to do there. So thanks for your patience. Next story says, he's feeling blue. Man who is slowly tattooing his entire body turquoise insists it's helped him feel confident after years of being isolated. A former forklift operator has taken social media by storm after he decided to document his attempts to gradually tattoo his entire body blue. Donnie Snyder, 26, from Scarborough, Ontario, who admits he's living life in strange mode, was first introduced to the world of body art when his sister inked a part of his leg and foot in turquoise in 2017. Despite a series of abortive early tattoo attempts, the link on his leg soon ignited Donnie's life's work, and the social media star, who lives in a clapped-out transit bus and makes his living selling earrings, decided to use the hue to cover his body. There he is. Speaking about the comical questions he often receives from strangers, Donnie said, "Questions from strangers about my genitals have increased by 10,000%. He'll be here all week, folks. Tip your waitress." Man, what do you think about that? What do you... stuff, it's just unbelievable to me when I see stuff like this. I mean, they wouldn't do it if they, I guess, didn't have a reason. Or maybe it's just an extreme reaction to something. I don't know. I always wonder. Does this come from a place of damage, or, or are they just really, really goofy, like really super, super goofy? Like Steve-O. Remember Steve-O? I think he cleaned up his act finally. But Steve-O from Jackass, the series, many years ago, he's always one of those guys that he was really dangerous there for a while. I mean, the guy would do anything. And then he started like really going crazy, getting crazy into drugs, and had to have some rehab. And I'm pretty sure he's cleaned his act up. Like he's off all that stuff now. But, the guy would do anything. These guys would just do anything. They'd probably even do something like this. Who knows? But anyway, there's all of this. I don't know. I mean, to each his own, It's my attitude. To each his own. Definitely unique. What do you think? Would you ever do that? Be honest. I know some of you probably would. I don't know. What are the people saying? Yeah, nothing of importance. All right, there you go. Have you ever seen this? It's called theworldcounts.com. I mean, I don't know how much we can trust numbers online, but if you're interested, this is people who died from hunger in the world this year. And that's what this world count is. And it's 1,700,000 something, 721,683. Just something to think about. Around 9 million people die every year of hunger and hunger-related diseases. This is more than from AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis combined. That's a shame. Why don't we hear more about stuff like this? About something that's tangible, something we can actually, help people with and see it, see it actually happening in the physical and the real, as opposed to this fighting climate change or global warming, right? I mean, put money back into the people. Come on, right? Like that guy Bloomberg spent $500 million, they say, on his campaign to win the nomination to be the Democrat to run for president. 500 million. I mean, can you imagine, though, just all the good you can do with that kind of money? Could have gone to some of the poorest neighborhoods here in America and maybe just built maybe some really awesome housing or a nice community center, or I don't know, something. Just try to help the people out that really need it, I don't know. What do I know? I'm not a billionaire. U.S. and Taliban signed peace deal that will send all American troops home in 14 months and pave way to end of 18-year Afghanistan war. Well, that'll be good news. I'm hoping this all plays out. That's all. Just wanted to share that. It's good news, isn't it? Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, St. Patrick's Day Parade, major events canceled or modified due to, coronavirus. As the outbreak continues to spread, major events across the U.S. are being canceled or modified to protect people. Popular game shows like Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune are taping episodes without a studio audience now. Management required that many of their audience members come from all over the world and travel by aircraft. A church in Washington, D.C. canceled their services for the first time since the 1800s after a priest tested positive for the coronavirus. How about that? And Boston's St. Patrick's Day parade that was scheduled for March 15th has been canceled. Boston Mayor Marty Welsh tweeted, Boston's St. Patty's Day parade scheduled for 3/15/20 is being canceled. This decision is being made out of an abundance of caution to ensure that we are doing what is needed to keep the residents of Boston safe and healthy. Organizations are continuing to update their social media sites with news of cancellations and precautions they are taking. In a statement on their website, the Ivy League wrote the upcoming Ivy League men's and women's basketball tournaments were canceled as well. The New York Times is reporting that the public is banned from attending a naval graduation in Great Lakes, Illinois, where nearly 1,000 sailors are expected to graduate from boot camp. And more of that, huh? We'll see. Not surprised by this. Vice published a step-by-step guide to do-it-yourself, reminiscent of the days when Lysol published ads subtly encouraging women to use its products as a form of at-home birth control. Vice has published a step-by-step guide for women looking for do-it-yourself abortion advice. Throughout the piece, What to Know About Giving Yourself an Abortion, the writer Marie Solis explains how to pass the pregnancy, seemingly likening the conception and development of a human life to a kidney stone. Prior to just the hatred for humanity with some of these people, man. That's what I see with this. Just a hatred for humanity. It's so gross, so narcissistic, right? So selfish. Prior to writing the article, Solis requested women who have managed their own abortions to share their experiences with her. So, self-managed abortion, as Solis called it, looks quite different from how it did prior to the U.S. Supreme Court's 1973 decision in Roe versus Wade. All right, I don't really want to read all this, to be honest with you. Anyway. Virginia Democrats vote to end mandatory reporting at schools for marijuana possession, assault, and more. Again, that spread of lawlessness to me, that we're seeing that. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I'd be fine if they left marijuana out of this, okay? That's just me. I'm just saying. It's the way I see things. But it's the other stuff, the assault and more, right? They're voting to end mandatory reporting at schools for these things. I guess I can understand actually the marijuana thing if it's children. I get that. So yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, I guess in that sense, of course. And other drugs, of course. But I don't know, man. Let's just read this. Let's read it together. This time, the Old Dominion's leftist legislators have voted to end the mandatory reporting of crimes committed or experienced by students, including sexual battery, stalking, and threats by students against school teachers and staff. Did you catch that? They voted to end the mandatory reporting of these crimes. So they no longer have to tell the parents. Yeah, the weed and the drugs thing, definitely any kind of drugs. I don't really want to put those in the same category. I mean, I'd be a hypocrite now if I said the weed, because I smoked weed when I was a kid, teenager too. So I don't want to say, turn them in for the weed. For me, I would leave that off. That's just me. I don't have kids, so it doesn't really matter what I'm saying right now. But all the rest, I mean, of course, yeah, you need to, tell the family and report these kind of things, especially sexual battery and stalking and threats. According to News Wars, HB 257, introduced by Delegate Mike Mullen, eliminates the requirement that school principals report certain enumerated acts that may constitute a misdemeanor offense to law enforcement. Previously, school principals would have been required by law to report such crimes to law enforcement. Now, as part of the party's restorative justice initiatives, mainly felony-level offenses will be the only crimes that will be required to be reported. Mullen's bill was incorporated with another HB 695, which also removed the requirement that school officials report the possession of less than 1/4 ounce of marijuana found on a student's person or possessions on a school bus, on school property, or at a school-sponsored activity. In other words, Virginia Democrats virtually decriminalized the possession of marijuana for children at school. Well, when you put it that way, yeah, exactly, that is really bad. Something that would carry a penalty of 30 days in jail and up to a $500 fine on the streets. Democrats in Richmond took school safety in a dramatically different and potentially dangerous direction this week, said Virginia's House Minority Leader Todd Gilbert in a Facebook post on Friday, announcing that House Democrats had adopted a policy that will make our students, teachers, and school personnel significantly less safe. Instances of sexual battery, stalking, and threats against teachers and staff are not discipline problems. They are serious crimes with real victims that need to be investigated and prosecuted. But it is that spread of lawlessness, isn't it? Just like what we saw in San Francisco, right? The under $900 or $1,000, right? No prosecution. And this is just the beginning of this, I believe. Look at this. I mean, this is a new thing we're starting to see, a new level of just, it seems like some of these people are actively trying to collapse the country, it seems, right? In some respects. Gilbert also paralleled the new restorative justice policy with the same lenient failed policies that allowed Nicholas Cruz to go on a premeditated spree at Stoneman Douglas High School. Failing to report serious crimes in hopes of keeping students out of the school-to-prison pipeline is the same type of policy that allowed the Parkland shooting to take place. The Parkland Commission found a strong connection between failure to report incidents and the loss of life. And NewsWars notes that Gilbert attempted to debate these concerns on the House floor with Mullen quipped that Gilbert is not hard of hearing, that he is asking me to repeat this over again, even though he heard it the first time. Okay, whatever. Got that. But yeah, there you go. And I'm just playing around, guys, with my thoughts on the kids stuff. Of course, I get reporting all that. You need to. I mean, you're talking about children. I guess I was thinking more like high school. 17 for me. 16, 17. Starting to make your own decisions in life. Usually bad ones. Crocheting community makes prosthetic packers for trans kids as young as 6. A notoriously leftist community for knitting and crocheting is doing its part to advance the transgender agenda by creating prosthetic wieners for females who believe they are males. The packer patterns offered on Ravelry come in adult sizes, small through extra large. These packers are intended to be worn inside the underwear of little girls, gross, in order to help them feel more like little boys. Jeepers. How incredibly heartbreaking, for real. All right, that's all I need to know about that, about packers. But that's a shame. The kids, right? Leave the kids out of this stuff. Leave them alone. Movie featuring relationship between child robot and adult man met with walkouts, backlash at film festival. Well, good. This is on activistmommy.com, by the way. That's supposed to be the robot child. Gross. A sci-fi film featuring a sexual relationship between a man and an android meant to replace his lost 10-year-old daughter, even grosser, has caused no shortage of outrage and even walkouts after its screenings at a Berlin film festival. The Trouble with Being Born, directed by Austrian filmmaker Sandra Wollner, premiered at Berlinale 2020 late last month. The film centers around Ellie, an android played by 10-year-old Lena Watson, who calls her own daddy, or her owner daddy. Gross. While much of the film's content is innuendo or implied, the movie leaves little doubt that the man played by Dominic Warta has a sexual relationship with a child robot. Wollner told The Hollywood Reporter that she was scared of choosing a child for the part at first. The role had initially been written for a 20-year-old, but the search for an actress half that age began editing more explicit scenes from the script. Wallner told the Hollywood Reporter that she looked for a minor who came from a healthy environment. Oh, great. Yeah, so we can corrupt her. It was also necessary that the child for the role comes from the sort of open-minded family who would understand the story they wanted to tell and also allow them to do it, noted the Hollywood Reporter, who called the film a hidden gem. Okay. The child actress used a silicone mask and a wig, which hides her identity and reinforces that it's a role she's playing. Of course, her parents were there during the shoot. She was never naked. She was never running around naked. She never saw anybody naked on set. We just did that in the edit, she added. Instead, the film relied heavily on CGI for its handful of nude scenes. We had really honest talks with the family who were there during the shoot. It was very open, very transparent, and of course, we talked to Watson about the film in a very child-appropriate way. Does a child-appropriate way exist to tell a child she's going to play a robot who will be sexually assaulted by her father? How on earth do you pull that off? It seems only one film reviewer wasn't keen on licking Wallner's bold and edgy boots. In a review titled "Pedophilia Finally Gets Mainstream Nod and the Trouble with Being Born," Film Goblin asks, who are these people actually kidding? Let's not pretend that this isn't about mainstreaming the last sexual perversion, other than bestiality. That isn't socially acceptable. At least yet. I mean, we'll see it all, right? As in the days of Noah, huh? The review states, and there's no argument to be made in defense of the existence of this film by using the Lolita defense, or even the, well, it's just a robot defense. The review continues, rightfully shredding the piece of garbage film. Of course, if you live like an atheist and have a worldview that this world is all there is, and that human beings aren't any more than a conglomeration of cells accidentally swirled together to both begin and end without meaning in the world, then why wouldn't you build a kiddie sex robot, thus softening your resistance to going and getting a real kid? Hello, pagan morality. Children being used in disgusting, sexually explicit ways in independent film is nothing new. Sadly, I only fear that it will become more common, like Film Goblin noted, as the last remaining sexual perversions have their taboo status gradually eroded. That's from Activist Mommy. Here's a nice weird one. Attack in Valdebravo, Mexico, revives the legend of the chupacabras. This is from March 5th, a few days back. In Mexico, Mauricio Osorio Dominguez, mayor of Valdebravo, state of Mexico, reported that the body of a 54-year-old taxi driver with deep wounds and torn clothing was found on March 1st. The cause of death was the attack of a carnivorous and dangerous animal. Immediately after the announcement, fear spread among the population to the extent that basic education classes have been suspended, while research suggests that the attack was perpetrated by a lion or a Bengal tiger that allegedly escaped from a nearby ranch. The mayor also does not rule out that it was caused by some other type of a big cat or a pack of wild dogs that live in the forest area. This mystery has intrigued many people on social networks who published various hypotheses, including, of course, the legend of the chupacabras. In mid-1996, one of the main topics of conversation in Mexico was the appearance of a strange creature that sucked the blood of horses, chickens, sheep, and pigs, although its favorites were goats, hence its name. The chupacabra was described as a short alien with red, bulging eyes. Remember all this? I do. It was great when this all first started coming out. Pointed ears, spikes on its back, long fangs, and claws with which it captured its victims. Some said it was half man and half bat, and that it jumped like a kangaroo and even flew. The name was first heard of on the island of Puerto Rico in 1992 when a man named Madelay Tolentino claimed to be his victim. Little by little, the chupacabras began to migrate through the different countries of Latin America, where the media began to show numerous images of animals bleeding to death with bites from the chupacabra's fangs. In Mexico, it became popular in 1996 when TV stations spread the rumor during their broadcasts, as well as in the written press. It makes me think of X-Files. Like, could it actually be some kind of a chimera that the government's created that maybe got loose, The Mexican or is it something that somebody conjured up? Who knows? Or is it all just a big story made up? The Mexican version of the alien cattle killer began to feed on drama, and the testimonies of supposed human victims were present. Attacks in cities like Tijuana, Las Mocas, Chihuahua, Texcoco, and other places in the Mexican Republic. The hysteria reached such a degree that in several towns, brigades were created to hunt the beast. Men and women armed themselves with machetes, guns, and shotguns to go around the corrals. The searches were unsuccessful, and all that was found were more dead animals, all with the typical print, 2 deep holes in the neck. Finally, the experts went into action and explained that the attacks were produced by pumas, jaguars, or coyotes that, in the absence of food in their natural habitats, were looking for it in the ranches. Then the media phenomenon began to be criticized by different voices. The then recent assassination of the presidential candidate of the Institutional Revolutionary Party, Luis Donaldo Colosio, as well as the devaluations and authoritarianism of the PRI regime, seemed to be the perfect excuse for the staging of a distracting drama, being used as a metaphor referring to former President Carlos Salinas and the corruption problems of the political class. The alien cattle killer became a sensation, so famous that if Twitter had existed at the time, it would have undoubtedly been a trending topic on more than one occasion. A band named the New York Band, formed in 1986 by Dominicans living in New York, even composed a song for the creature and to the rhythm of merengue. Did I say that right? The Chupacabras got everyone dancing at parties. Cool. All right. El Chupacabra. It's going to get you. Is he riding a goat? Yeah, he's riding a goat. Just another trick, right? Rain of fears. Sinister black rain falls over Japan, sparking conspiracy theories it's caused by cremated coronavirus bodies. Strange conspiracy theories have appeared on Twitter in the past week about the soot-colored black puddles that have appeared in the country on March 2nd. There's some pictures. All right, cool. The city of Hasuda in Saitama was where much of the black rain fell, but areas throughout Saitama have also been affected, including Ageo and some other places. Local media outlet Sora24 said that authorities were investigating strange black puddles that had appeared in the roads and on cars. Using the hashtag Black Rain, locals speculated on Twitter that the rain may be the result of mass cremations of coronavirus victims. One Twitter user made the very outlandish claim, Tokyo Black Rain, speculation about secret mass graves and mass cremations burning the bodies of coronavirus. While another wrote, now there are reports of black rain falling in Japan. Any possible connection to Wuhan? I've heard theories that it could be from the crematoriums in China. Not sure how plausible that is, though. While another said it might even be North Korea, writing, didn't North Korea fire missiles on that day? Others cited a fire that had recently broken out in the area as a cause of the rainfall. They wrote the black rain in Japan is suspected of being the result of a factory fire. Another added, it was a fire at a plastic factory. There you go. Locals in Japan were understandably concerned by the black rain after seeing the same rainfall during the Second World War in Hiroshima and Nagasaki bomb attacks. But officials in the city measured the radiation levels and said there was nothing out of the ordinary. The residential radioactive material in the atmosphere caused black rain to fall in the aftermath of both attacks in 1945, as remembered by witnesses. A reporter from Sora News 24 criticized Hasuda authorities for not including more information online. All right, there you go. Black rain, folks. It's going to get you. Watch out. It's going to come get you. You're going to turn around, and there it is. Black rain. Cursed ventriloquist doll found dumped in river, burned by terrified neighbors. think there's a video. It's a creepy doll. Sinister human-sized ventriloquist doll was mistaken for a dead body when it was hauled out of a river by villagers in Mexico who were so creeped out that they decided to burn it. Unfortunately, the doll, found wrapped in a blanket in the small town of San Antonio, wouldn't burn, and so the community decided it was cursed. In a video, the doll is seen lying on the earth with one eye blackened, interesting, and burned, but the other bright blue and staring. Its hinged jaw gives the doll a creepy and scarred appearance, adding to the air of uneasiness it radiates. Look at that face. It's a face only a ventriloquist would love. It does have the darkened right eye. It's angry. There you go. What the? Oh, come on. Oh, this is my Doom break, I think. There we go. So, have you guys ever seen, I know most of you have heard of it at least, but you've seen the TV series The Office, of course, right? We had an American version with Steve Carell. Well, you know, if you didn't know, that originally was on the BBC, and that's how Ricky Gervais got his start. Really, that's how he kind of got at least famous here in America and all over the world, was through that. That's how he really got recognized. Unless there was things he was doing over there, because I don't know, I'm not from there. But his character was great. It was a very, very funny series. I thought both series were good. The Office, the American version, I thought was really good with Steve Carell. I didn't like any of the other stuff with when he left. You know, I thought he was pretty good. But anyway, check this out here. Somebody thinks they found a real life version of David Brent, and he sells mattresses. But I thought this is pretty funny because he does remind me of that character. Check this out.
And keep my job for a bit longer. Make up for all the other failures, I'm just kidding. No, it doesn't benefit me in any way, except I suppose I get to come back another day and I'll keep my job for a bit longer. Make up for all the other failures, I'm just kidding. But other than that, so the fact I don't have to be enthusiastic. I can give you the facts, I can smile, and I can do all the usual spiel. I don't have to like it. You can make your own mind up. And if you don't buy it, it's not like I'm losing money, right? And I know I'm being a bit blunt, but the point is, it's because I swear, I don't swear at this anymore. It doesn't benefit me in any way, except I suppose I get to come back another day and I'll keep my job for a bit longer. Make up for all the other failures, I'm just kidding. But other than that, so the fact I don't have to be enthusiastic. I can give you the facts, I can smile, and I can do all the usual spiel. I don't have to like it. You can make your own mind up. And if you don't buy it, it's not like I'm losing money, right? And I know I'm being a bit blunt, but the point is, it's because I swear, I don't swear at this anymore. I don't swear at my duvet. I swear by it.
There you go. I mean, right? Kind of seems like David Brent. That was his name, right? David Brent on The Office. Anyway, thought that was pretty good. Aha. We got another UFO video here. You know I like my UFO videos. You know we like the weird stuff around here. Let's check this out. It's going to play for us. Whoa. Okay, that's not what I was expecting. Sorry, kids. That was someone's butt. All right, let's see if this is going to play for us here. Is there a video? Let's read. A strange object described as a skeleton key UFO is filmed floating above the skies in Massachusetts on Sunday. Okay, there we go. Give me a sec.
This world. That is not of this world.
I say it might be the flying humanoids, but what do I know? Yeah, so they're calling it the key, but we know, this crew, us, we know that that's another flying humanoid. I've covered that subject here on the channel quite a bit throughout the years. Plus, anytime I get footage of another one, I always show it to you guys here on the show. It's another specific type of UFO we see all the time. Is this just a manifestation of the shapeshifters, a favorite form? Is it something else? Are we seeing people astral project? I don't know. There's so many questions. But I do know that there's a lot of captures of this. It looks like this. They look like that, don't they? Sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they're smaller, sometimes they're different colors. There's some amazing white flying humanoid figures that were caught over Los Angeles a few times. So there you go. Human deer hybrid with glowing red eyes spotted bounding across the countryside. Still, fair warning, this is the Daily Star. So let's see what happens, which is a dangerous thing because some of the stories, again, will come out of these papers, and I think they'll be good and legit and interesting. And then they mix in other things that's not so much, it seems. So take each story as they come. I just thought this is an interesting headline, so let's check this out. It says there have been multiple alleged sightings of the creature in the Lincolnshire region, and each witness has described it the same way: tall with antlers and glowing red eyes. There's even a movie coming out called Antlers about Wendigo. I think it's a Wendigo. You can look up the story of the Wendigo, but that's what I think. It's an Indian shape-shifting legendary creature. A bizarre 6-foot-tall creature described as a human deer. That's how Wendigo is described most of the time, too. Is roaming Grimsby, according to people who claim they've witnessed it. Lee Solway, host of the Realm of the Supernatural podcast, told Daily Star Online there have been 5 or 6 sightings of the creature in the Lincolnshire region in the last 40 years. Every witness describes it the same way. They claim it's half man, half deer with antlers that mostly walks on 2 legs. It reportedly has brown fur, a mane, is the same height as a tall human, and most disturbingly of all, has glowing red eyes. Solway says it sounds like a puka, a figure in Celtic folklore that can change its shape. Oh, so see, that's Celtic has its version as well. Wendigo is the American Indian version, I believe. It often presents itself as a horse, goat, cat, dog. Sounds like another shape-shifting demonic creature, right? Or even fallen angel. But can also take a human form that has certain animalistic features such as ears or a tail. I don't know if that's an actual picture. Yeah. Welsh mythology features a similar creature called a puka. In the Cornish mythology, it's called the buka. The Paco are said to be fairies living near ancient stones in the Channel Islands. Solway says the creature was once sighted by a schoolboy bunking off for the day. He saw a creature step out of the cornfield, looked at him, and then bolted, bounding like a kangaroo. Despite being a native Grimbarian, Solway hasn't spotted the puka himself, but believes there's definitely something going on in the area. I thought that there was supposed to be a video, that we were going to see something bounding out from across the countryside. All right, I guess not. Texas mystery orb emerges from lightning bolt in War of the Worlds footage. It's from March 7th, 3 days ago. Check this out. This is a pretty crazy one.
When he was driving, notice right here, we're going to go in and take a much closer look at that. That was definitely something coming out of the clouds. And we're going to go in real close, and we're going to see that white object. There's nothing else on the windshield, in the sky, even remotely close to that, that could have made that type of anomaly. If it was a water droplet, it's moving against the wind. You got to keep in mind the car is moving forward, so any water droplets would be moving back behind us, not to our left. So it was definitely not a water drop, in my opinion. Watch right in here. You're going to see it come out right there. See it? It's moving towards us, and then it moves to the left of the screen. It's bright white. If it were a water drop, chances are you wouldn't even see it. I did check for street lights, and it doesn't appear to be a street light glare. Pretty good observation.
There you go.
Pittsburgh, Texas.
On this StreamYard is what I'm using to broadcast right now. There's a series of GIFs I use sometimes as a background, and one of the GIFs I have is a lightning bolt. It's a different footage than what you just saw, but it's a lightning bolt shooting down and then an orb popping out of it and just flying in a different direction. It's interesting, isn't it? You know, is that a way that some of these things travel? Which was weird, even in War of the Worlds. That's why they said that. That's how the aliens came down. They'd come down in lightning bolts, and it would charge something that I guess they were already seated in the earth or something. The lightning bolt would come down and I guess put them in their suit, or I can't remember exactly how it played out, but I know that the aliens traveled through lightning bolts in the Tom Cruise version of War of the World. This is a little crazy. Healing rooms canceled due to coronavirus fears. Oh boy. See, that's not putting your faith. That's the way I see it, but what do I know? Bethel Church in Redding, California, the wellspring for all that is evil and unholy in the charismatic movement, has purportedly canceled their healing rooms due to fears of the coronavirus. It says healing rooms canceled. This is real. It's from today. It's at the intersection of the road that Bethel is on. Don't you feel bad for all those sick people who had planned on getting healed today? Now what? It says. All right. Kanye bumps transgender performer from Paris Fashion Week. Kanye West's Sunday service performance has bounced a trans musical performance from the lineup at Paris Fashion Week. The MAGA hat-wearing rapper, who was recently converted by religiosity, will be performing at Paris Fashion Week with his regular Sunday service crew, and the full roster wouldn't allow all the participants who had previously signed up to perform. Thea Menard, a man who pretends to be a woman, was disinvited upon Kanye's entrance. It appears he got dressed up for nothing. Yahoo News says French trans performer Thea Menard was furious that her Maison Mère mothership show was pulled at just one day's notice to make way for the golden apple of American pop culture, or golden couple, of American pop culture. As Kanye moves more and more to the commercialized religion's left, he's partnered recently with Joel Osteen and other heretics. It's increasingly hard to root for him, but I mean, there's a silver lining. That's what these people wrote, at least on Pulpit and Pen. Mark Wahlberg says he will never hide relationship with God, reveals he shares faith with his peers. Actor Mark Wahlberg recently sat down for an interview with Today and shared the details behind his prayer life and why he's so outspoken about his faith. While promoting his new Netflix movie Spencer Confidential, the Hollywood star got candid about his daily prayer life and devotional practices with NBC host Harry Smith. Wahlberg is a devout Catholic who has a strict daily routine that always kicks off with prayer. That's the most important thing. I take a day off. I take 2 days a week off from the gym now. I don't take a day off from getting on my hands on my knees and reading my prayer book and my daily devotionals, and first of all, expressing the gratitude that I have for all the blessings that have been bestowed upon me, he said. And then, of course, asking for the strength and guidance to be able to use the talents and gifts that God's given me to help others and inspire and know that what right is, and to do so, to be the best husband I can be, the best father I can be, he added. When describing how much time he puts into his prayer life, Wahlberg shared that it depends on how long his prayer list is. I meet people along the way, and I add people to my prayers. If I see somebody in public eye, or that I read in the newspaper, somebody that's struggling, somebody that has a child that's having a health issue, stuff like that, I add them to my prayers, and I usually ended up keeping them in my prayers, he explained. So it's now 20 minutes of praying, actual praying, and then my reading and stuff like that. The Boston native opened up about which passages in the Bible really impact him. He highlighted the content Jesus taught in Matthew 13. The idea of being good soil and bearing good fruit where it's sprinkled, how it's used, how you absorb that information. Do you really retain that information? Wahlberg said. Yeah, those are the most powerful things. Having faith in God is what informs the actor's everyday life, he told Smith. The father of four said it helps him reflect on how fortunate and blessed he is, and encourages him to be a positive member of the community and church. Although he does not believe in imposing his beliefs on others, he did say that he has several people in Hollywood that he shares his faith with. Look, I will not hide the fact that I love the Lord and I want to be committed to serving the Lord, but I also don't jam it down anybody's throat. But it's better to never have known God than to deny God. I mean, that's not a good look. It's not a good look, he said. That being said, there are people that I'm close to that I will send devotionals to and try to encourage them. The popular Wahlberg brother had revealed to the Christian Post in a past interview that prayer is the way I love to start my day and finish my day. I've been very blessed and very fortunate, and it's because of the focus that I put on my faith and on my family that have allowed me to accomplish so many things. Wow, that's great, huh? Isn't that nice to hear? Again, that's why, it's even with the stuff I do, it's always a case-by-case basis with celebrities and things like this, and I'm an optimist in that respect. I like to see these stories and give him the benefit of the doubt and believe and say, well, that's great. Some people might say that's just a front, they're all Satan's, minions, and they're all a part of the club, but see, I don't think so. And God's got his kids sprinkled everywhere, in every industry and every group, every corporation, every kind of job you can imagine. We're everywhere. Ben Affleck opens up about becoming a Christian later in life, finds beauty in Jesus' message. I think he says it right here. Yeah, check this out.
From a faith perspective, and this movie has elements of faith, but it's really more about the faith that the things I write about are from a faith perspective, and this movie has elements of faith, but it's really more about the faith that people extend to each other and the grace people extend to each other. Mm-hmm. What was it that drew you to the project, Ben?
Well, I go to Methodist church, and kids are baptized, and got introduced to Christianity a little bit later in life. One of the things that I found most beautiful about it, and I'm not I struggle with my faith, I struggle with belief, but I do see there's something enormously beautiful and elegant about the notion that we are all sinners, and that it's our job to find our redemption, to find God's love, to redeem ourselves, to live the best life that we can live, to love one another, to not judge one another, to forgive one another. I think those are extremely powerful ideas and very, very relevant, probably more relevant today than ever, because there's a little bit more of an attitude of like, find something somebody did wrong once and kind of get rid of it. And that to me feels unnecessarily judgmental. It's that he was not sin cast the first stone, I think is a very wise proverb.
Right.
See, I love that message. And even with that being said, I hate to say it, but he seems even like this, like he's under the influence of something maybe, but they've been saying, that all the celebrity, shows have been saying for a while, but I guess he's having his problems behind the scenes too, or whatever, you know. So be a good one to pray for there for you. And yeah, I like to have hope for these people. I don't like to write everybody off in Hollywood. They're all sucking on Satan. You know, they're all, you know, I don't, you know, they're all witches. They're all of them are. That's a terrible attitude to have. It's a terrible way to see things because it's not true. You got to take things on a case-by-case basis and really look at things and wait for the information to come out. You know, it's interesting. I just saw I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'll put it in something maybe someday, but just an observation I made. But I went up and I was looking up Chris Cornell. You know, he was a lead singer of Soundgarden. He died a little while back. They said it was a suicide, right? So I was looking up what he was up to just before he passed, and he was on a tour. It was just Chris Cornell. It wasn't Soundgarden, and it was something like the Enlightenment Tour or something like this. And even the symbolism around that, he had a lot of the all-seeing eye and the pyramid and a lot of the occult stuff all wrapped in there. So I went around, I found a couple of interviews he did where he talked about faith and religion and everything. And he claims that, you know, he didn't believe in God or any of that kind of stuff. He seemed more atheist really than anything, but he seemed earnest about where he was at with stuff. And he didn't talk about anything occult or satanic or get into any of that kind of stuff. Was he hiding it because he is one? Maybe. But then again, some of these people in their own way may be ignorant to some of these things, perhaps. I don't know. You know, maybe he was one of them, and then that stuff was just working through him. That spirit worked through him, you know, because it was a spirit that was controlling him anyway, right? If he's atheist, didn't have the Holy Spirit, I'm just saying that perhaps that's why we would see that imagery on that final, you know, the final tour. The different posters I was seeing had a lot of occult imagery, and there's like, so the pyramid, the all-seeing eye stuff, all in there. And, you know, some may say that, you know, that there are some that said that it was some kind of a sacrifice. Some of the evidence, quote unquote, is questionable. I've seen on that because a lot of it is just kind of speculation, isn't it? Sometimes. But anyway, there you go. This little guy, this jerk right here is well, at least he was part of, he's one of the reasons that they used to come after a lot of us on YouTube and do a second wave or third or fourth wave at that point of hardcore censorship. More people got removed, more people got, you know, demonetized or ranked. Remember this guy, Carlos Maza? New York Post reporter deletes tweets that exposed socialist YouTuber's wealthy background to get his Twitter account back. Check this out, man. This is really kind of sickening, honestly. New York Post reporter Jonathan Levine deleted his tweets exposing self-described socialist Carlos Maza's ties to his elite, wealthy family after he was locked out of his account twice by Twitter. And Carlos Maza is apparently a communist, right, or a socialist. Now we're finding out that he comes from this elite, wealthy family. And that's the point I was making in my newest video as well. A lot of these people in the Extinction Rebellion are upper middle class people. I mean, they got the time to go do all this foolish stuff and still eat at the finest restaurants in between. You know, it's unbelievable. Levine reported on Maza's wealthy family origins Saturday, revealing that the former Vox employee's family has multiple mansions in Florida and an expensive high-rise apartment in New York's Upper West Side. The reporter also tweeted, and I'm sorry to cut it off, look up the Steven Crowder debacle. That's what happened is Maza went to YouTube complaining to little Susan about Steven Crowder saying things he thought were homophobic and threatening and whatnot. Anyway, you can look that up if you're interested. So the reporter also tweeted out photos of Maza's family mansions, resulting in Twitter locking him out of his account for violating their privacy information policy until he was forced to delete the posts, according to Levine. Despite initially calling their decision to lock my account an error, Twitter locked me out again a few hours later over the same Carlos Maza story, Levine tweeted Sunday. I reluctantly deleted the tweet, and I'm sharing with you some of the timeline here. He added, "This is Orwellian." Anyway, there you go. Maza's parents, according to the Post sources, helped pay for his one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan's East Village. Levine claims that a one-bedroom apartment in the neighborhood typically costs an upward of $3,000 a month. My mom and her fiance are very wealthy thanks to a software company they started together when I was a kid. As a result, I've gotten to live a life of tremendous privilege, Mazza said. Mazza has admitted that he is a safety net, but says that no one is bankrolling his new career as an independent YouTuber. And he claimed that his mother only donates $10 a month. Gay Wonk has a Patreon account where fans can donate money to help fund the channel. Levine reported that at the end of Mazza's videos, his parents were listed as comrades along with his other financial supporters. The YouTuber is a frequent critic of the ultra-wealthy, having recently attacked Democratic strategist James Carville for living in an absolutely obscene 4-story mansion. I think a lot of these people are unhappy. I'm sure this guy is just craving some attention, Carville told the Post in response to Mazza's criticism. I don't have $1 billion, but whatever I have, my daddy didn't give me. I think I inherited like 11 grand. In 2019, Mazza became famous after leading an online campaign to have conservative YouTuber Steven Crowder banned from the video sharing platform for hate speech. Mazza has also been known to encourage supporters to assault far-right figures with milkshakes. Yeah, that's not cool. Anyway, there you go. Exposed. Good. This is, on the surface, it doesn't look scary, but this might be one of the scarier things I've shown you guys. If you didn't know, there's a website called mylife.com. You can go look it up if you're interested. And it's one of these websites that, it's one of the main ones. They somehow aggregate all your information. Somehow they've collected all this information on you, on me, on everybody. And they compile it in here. And this is a place where people will go and they'll look up stuff on you and find your address and your phone number. And, you know, it's really crazy. So I'm just telling you right now, if you're interested, you can look yourself up on one of these. I don't know if you have to pay, so I'm not telling you to pay for anything if you have to. Maybe it'll show you some stuff. But you can find yourself on this mylife.com, I'm pretty sure. I think everybody's on there. And if you do, there's a way you can remove the information. This is a short video I watched, but apparently the way you do it is there's an email with this website, mylife.com. You just send them an email with the URL of your mylife.com page and tell them to cancel it and remove all the information. They say it takes like a week to do. So just letting you know, if you're interested, check that out. There's a video on YouTube that says how to remove your personal data from mylife.com. If you want to watch that, it just tells you what I just told you, though. So same thing. Canadian boy 8 wins $200 worth of Canada's products at youth hockey tournament. A grandfather in Canada says he was outraged after finding out what his 8-year-old grandson had won in a raffle at a youth hockey tournament, about $200 worth of marijuana products. Keith Rydell of British Columbia told Toronto CTV News that his grandson, who plays in a youth hockey league, had entered raffle tickets to win a prize. Each team is usually responsible for putting a gift basket or prize package together with a minimum value of $50, he told the station. And then what they do is they have a big setup and they have a paper bag taped in front of each of these prizes. The prizes, he said, are usually geared towards children. Rydell's grandson had put in his tickets in a particular bag. His family was later notified that he'd won $200 worth of pot. A picture taken the child's father shows various cannabis paraphernalia, including edibles, a lighter, and a smoking apparatus. My grandson thought he won a great prize. Well, he kind of did. Maybe not for him yet, but Dad, I won chocolate. Oh, no, son, those are bad drugs in the chocolate. How do you explain that to a kid? He said. The Dawson Creek Minor Hockey Association issued a statement explaining that the prize was meant for adults and never was there for the children. The products did not appear on the donation table, only a photo and list of the items contained in the basket, the statement said, adding that the raffle winner had been given the option not to accept the prize. Rydell, a policeman for 32 years, called the situation ridiculous. Indeed, it was, my friend. Chocolate lovers disgusted after seeing how much sugar is in Cadbury's cream egg. It's really just a picture. Look at this. That says it all. Imagine just, instead of having the egg, you're just taking spoonfuls of that, just putting it in your mouth. And just maybe drinking a little water and just drinking it down. Ugh, terrible. Terrible. Simpsons fans convinced show predicted coronavirus, but others spot a problem. Oh, where's the video? I'll just read some. In 2000, the episode Bart to the Future referenced the president. Oh, I'll just read some of this. Referenced the presidency of Donald Trump 16 years before he took office, and its writers have also been credited for foreseeing many other events, including the horse meat scandal, the design of the Shard, and Disney purchasing 21st Century Fox. And now fans think the show predicted the outbreak of coronavirus in just its fourth season during Marge and Chains, which was released back in '93. During the episode, a worker in Japan is shown to say, "Please don't tell the supervisor I have the flu," before coughing into a box addressed to Homer. When it arrives in Springfield, a green swarm emerges from the delivery, and similar package containing a juice loosener are then opened by Principal Skinner and Patty and Selma before taking over the town. Still images of the episode have been shared on Twitter, leading many to say the show creators have predicted coronavirus 27 years ago. One wrote, "Hope y'all know the Simpsons predicted coronavirus in '93, episode 4. Anyway, there you go. There you have it, guys. That's the last story of the night. Almost a 3-hour show. Dang, I didn't realize it. Oh, here's that little GIF thing I was talking about with the UFO. Is that it? There it is. Oh, it came out. Maybe not out of the lightning bolt. Maybe it did. I don't know. It looks like maybe. Anyway, hey guys, I just want to say thank you, man. Thank you guys for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. I promised you less coronavirus stuff, and I think I delivered. And I think that's nice, right? Of course, it's still something to be, keeping our eyes on. But, not to live in fear. I'm going to do this short video most likely tomorrow. I'll show you something I found about it that I think is really interesting. And also be getting a show set up where we can just hang out and talk. We'll do that here real soon as well. And more videos on the way, man. I've got a couple. I've got the shorter one, but I've got a bigger one I'm going to do too that's about the St. John's Pillars. I'm really excited to get that done. And a UFO video I've got to finish as well. Moderators, thank you so much for being here as always. Always appreciate it. And a big shout out to my Patreon and PayPal supporters, guys. Thank you so much. Because of you, I'm able to continue doing what I do. Also, guys, I have a sponsor. There's a link below if you're interested in doing any kind of prepping. They have a great deal for 2 weeks worth, a great deal for 4 weeks worth of food. Check it out if you're interested. Just go through the link. And I always like to end these with a prayer, guys. So I'd like to just say, Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us once again to be here and have this great meetup and this great group of people and cover some of the madness in this world, but with, a calmer way. And not living in fear, not letting this kind of thing overtake us. And if there's anybody out there, Lord, that's living in fear right now, I know there's a lot of people in pain out there. And it's just things seem like they really are turning upside down. And many of us are very aware of that. And with that can come all kinds of anxiety for people and stress. So, Father, please, I pray you bless everybody out there. Put their hearts and their minds at rest. Let's try to take all of this stuff in through the right perspective as we go through all of this. And just thanks again that I'm still here, the channel's still here, and just thank you that I can still continue doing this. Thanks for the wonderful people out here. And on that note, I love you, Lord, and in Jesus' name I'll pray. Amen. All right, guys, there you go. Hey, thanks once again. Like I said, more to come over the next couple days, and just really appreciate y'all. Have a good one, all right? Have a good night, and we'll talk to you a little later.